Audio sync. Hey guys, well, the AI race is ever evolving, and it seems Meta, which is definitely a big proponent in this AI race, is starting to take the Amazon approach to things. Now, I'll explain what I mean. So, if you aren't already aware, Amazon is gotten into the AI race quite recently. They've started building their own AI models and whatnot, and Amazon effectively has this sort of, with everything they do, this sort of self-sustaining, like self-fulfilling kind of approach where they build everything in house. Effectively, they build their own processors, they have their own computers, their own buildings, their own data centers, their own software. The entire supply chain is effectively in house, right? And Meta is starting to take a similar approach with their AI ventures. They're building their first in-house AI training chip, which is actually really, really cool. So we're going to go ahead and get into it in today's video. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with this article by Reuters. Meta begins testing its first in-house AI training chip. Now, again, as I would say, this is genuinely really cool, and it's a pretty bold move. So, Facebook owner Meta is testing its first in-house chip for training artificial intelligence systems, a key milestone as it moves to design more of its own custom silicon and reduce reliance on external suppliers such as Nvidia. Now, this is, again, a pretty big deal, especially because Meta's AI models are, in the easiest way to put it, some of the most important, even if Meta doesn't necessarily have an AI product, so to speak, because I mean they have like Meta Chat or whatever they call it, or Meta AI, but nobody really uses it. But that's besides the point. Even though they don't really have an AI product, they have AI models that are open, and they also license them to other companies who need them. They have pretty dang good AI models. So they want to, continue evolving their AI models, which they, license out and whatnot. And one of the things they want to do to help improve the supply chain on AI models is just by making its own in-house chips. So the push to develop in-house chips is a part of a long-term plan at Meta to bring down its mammoth infrastructure costs as the company places expensive bets on AI tools to drive growth. And honestly, I don't necessarily blame them. Not only do they have a lot of infrastructure costs on their own already, because they run like some of the biggest social media networks, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, they run all of those, and they also have to manage the networks behind them, the software, the storage for all the information, moderation, they have to run AI for the moderation, they have to do a lot of different things all at once. Running a social media platform, nevertheless, one the biggest ones too, is quite a hard task. That's going to cost a lot of money in compute, especially not only considering the real estate you need, the peering agreements with other companies and ISPs and carriers. All of these things add up over time, and they become quite expensive. AI is even worse. It's one of the most power-hungry compute tasks you can do. It is one of the most. It's probably up there with Bitcoin mining. It costs not only a lot for the equipment, like, the GPUs and the hardware and the storage and all that stuff, but it also costs so much in power alone, because all that stuff requires an insane amount of power. Nevertheless, costs on things like cooling, or like water cooling even. It makes sense that they want to bring down their costs because, well, they're expensive. Even for a company like Meta, they're expensive. So Meta, which, owns Instagram and WhatsApp, has forecast total 2025 expenses of 114 billion to 119 billion, including up to 65 billion in capital expenditure, largely driven by spending on AI infrastructure alone. So, one of the sources at Reuters said that Meta's new training chip is a dedicated accelerator, meaning it's designed to handle only AI specific tasks. This can make it more power efficient than the integrated graphics processing units, GPUs, generally used for AI workloads. Basically, they're making this CPU, or well, not CPU, this processor more more equipped just for AI tasks alone, instead of what like an enterprise grade GPU is made for. If you get an enterprise grade GPU from Nvidia, typically it's not going to be centered around AI alone. It's going to have a bunch of different things to it as well. Different graphics APIs and capabilities for, things like render farms or like NVENC, and other things for like, crypto stuff, cryptography, Bitcoin mining, whatever. There's a bunch of different uses for NVIDIA graphics cards or enterprise graphics cards in general. So those cards are going to, their silicon's going to be built in a more multi-purpose fashion. All Meta needs is AI tasks only, so they're making a chip that only does that, no other stuff. Which at the end of the day, I can see it possibly being more power efficient. So Meta is working with Taiwan-based chip manufacturer TSMC, which is like one of the biggest out there, to produce this chip. The test deployment began after Meta finished its first quote-unquote tape out of the chip, a significant marker of success in silicon development work that involves sending an initial design through a chip factory. So basically, they've already made a couple, and apparently they liked it, so they're now going to go ahead and make more. So a typical tape out costs tens of millions of dollars and takes roughly 3 to 6 months to complete, with no guarantee the test will succeed. If you're not already aware, the supply chain behind making processors is also fairly complicated. There's a lot that goes into making, actual processors work. It's really complicated, especially if you're making it at scale. So it's just, it's a pretty impressive supply chain. So they made a very risky bet here. They were like, okay, we're going to put a lot of money into this and see if it works. And a failure would require Meta to diagnose the issue and then repeat the tape out step. Apparently, it succeeded. So they're going to start making a whole bunch of these. So the chip is the latest in the company's Meta Training and Inference Accelerator, or MTIA series. The program has had apparently a wobbly start for years, and at one point even scrapped. So for a while they even gave up. But Meta last year started making a chip and using a chip to perform inference, or the process involved in running an AI system as users interact with it, or the recommendation systems that determine which content shows up on Facebook and Instagram news feeds. Apparently, they liked it, and they want to start using their own chips in full by 2026 for training, or the compute-intensive process of feeding the AI system reams of data to teach it how to, do things. So what they're going to do is they're going to take these chips and basically use them for what is effectively one of the hardest parts of the AI supply chain, which is, well, training an AI model. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of, again, like I've already pointed out, a lot of power, a lot of computers, a lot of chips, a lot of cooling, a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things going on, and they want to try to slim down their supply chain to make it easier, which honestly doesn't sound that bad. It might mean that we're going to start seeing some new, maybe even really good models from Meta in the near future. So they're going to go ahead and in 2026, at least they plan to by 2026, start using their own processors, their own chips for AI training. As with the inference chip, the goal for the training chip is to start with recommendation systems and later use it for generative AI products. So basically they're going to start off small, make sure it's, functional and working, and then they're going to start using it for the more important stuff. So that's kind of about it. They've described the chip development efforts as a kind of walk, crawl, and run situation, but apparently, so far, it has been a big success. So they're going to start moving to their own in-house processors. And honestly, it's not a bad sign. This might mean that soon we're going to start seeing some really cool AI models from Meta. I'm kind of curious to see how this will play out. Again, making your own processor is a pretty big task. It's no stroll in the garden. It's a pretty big deal. And it's quite cool to see them having such a success. It means that maybe we'll see some new llama models and they're like really good. Or maybe we won't. I don't know. Sometimes companies do have a tendency of spending a lot of money on something that doesn't necessarily go anywhere. So I have no clue what's going to happen here. I hope it'll be good cuz it is quite interesting to see this AI race go on and see what new company has released the best model next. And honestly, this could be a good sign for Meta. Maybe Meta will start pumping out some really, really cool AI models. But who knows? This may go south. Maybe it won't turn out as well as they hoped for. Again, they've been working on this for years. So, honestly, who knows? But yeah, that's about it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Take care, you guys, and remember to stay safe out there.